So today we're diving into a really strange series of events happening on NATO's eastern edge. It involves, of all things, simple balloons, but they're being treated with the seriousness of a military incursion. What started in the skies over Lithuania is, believe it or not, quickly becoming a major test for all of Europe. And this is really the central question, isn't it? After dozens of these unidentified objects drifted across the border from Belarus, Lithuanian officials have to decide, are these just some low-check smugglers? Or is this something way more calculated? Let's unpack what's actually going on here. I mean, we're not just talking about one or two stray balloons. In a single night, Lithuanian radar picked up 66, that's 66, separate objects crossing from Belarus, a really close ally of Russia, right into the airspace of a NATO and EU member. That number alone set off some serious alarm bells. All right, so to make sense of all this, here's how we're going to break it down. First, we'll look at the incident itself, then Lithuania's incredibly fast reaction. After that, we'll get into what this tells us about a new kind of warfare. And finally, we'll explore what this all means for European security as a whole. Okay, first up, balloons over Vilnius. Let's talk about what actually happened on the ground. Because while the method was, well, pretty simple, the consequences were anything but. This is all about the chaos these so-called smuggling balloons really caused. So these things created absolute chaos for everyday life. The main international airport in the capital, Vilnius, had to shut down 4 times in just 1 week. Think about that. We're talking about nearly 30,000 travelers affected, and more importantly, a genuine risk to planes in the sky. And all of this was caused by simple helium balloons. So how did Lithuania respond to this? Well, passive is not the word. They didn't just shrug this off as a minor nuisance or some routine border issue. No, they treated this as a full-on national security event. The government took 2 huge, immediate steps. First, they moved to completely shut the border with Belarus. And second, the prime minister gave the military the green light, basically a direct order, to shoot down any more of these objects that cross into their airspace. That's a massive escalation. And if you want to understand their mindset, you just have to look at this quote. The Prime Minister, Inga Ruginiene, did not mince words. She came right out and framed the incident with this powerful statement, making it crystal clear that, as far as her government's concerned, this was way more than just smuggling. This was an attack. Okay, so that term she used, hybrid attack, what does that actually mean? Because this is the absolute key to understanding why Lithuania's response was so strong and why the rest of Europe is watching so closely. You know, a hybrid attack is all about operating in the gray areas. It's a strategy designed to create confusion, cause chaos, and just generally destabilize an opponent without ever firing a traditional shot. Using something as seemingly harmless as a balloon to shut down an airport, that's a textbook example. It's cheap, it's deniable, and it lets you poke your enemy to see how they react. So, as you can probably guess, we have 2 completely different stories here. Lithuania is saying this was a deliberate, calculated test of both EU and NATO resolve. Belarus, on the other hand, is basically saying, who us? They're dismissing the whole thing, calling Lithuania's border closure a provocation just to justify hitting them with new sanctions. And this is where the story really zooms out and gets much, much bigger than just balloons. By calling it a hybrid attack, Lithuania immediately escalated this beyond a squabble between neighbors. They framed it as a critical test for the security of all of Europe. I mean, listen to that. The Prime Minister believes the stakes are incredibly high. With this statement, what she's really arguing is that how the EU and NATO react to this pretty low-cost, low-tech provocation could set a really dangerous precedent for what hostile regimes think they can get away with next. And Lithuania isn't just talking. They're calling for a broad, united front with some very specific demands. They want tougher sanctions, they want the EU's hybrid response teams activated, and they're even talking about invoking NATO's Article 4. Now, that last one is a really big deal. It's the official step a NATO member takes when it feels its security is threatened. They are effectively pushing all the buttons they can. And that leaves us with a final, really important thought to chew on. When a threat to your national security can be as simple and cheap as a helium balloon that's just meant to cause chaos, it forces us to rethink our entire idea of security. What does it actually mean to defend a border in the 21st century?